Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Cup of Joe with Joe and Joe podcast. I am your host, Joe, and with me, as always, is my wonderful co-host, Joe.
Oh god, the beer went everywhere.
Oh my god.
Oh, I couldn't even slurp it. It was just flowing. Oh boy. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have a beautiful Blue Moon mango wheat. It's really damn good. Oh god, it's gonna be a night. And ladies and gentlemen, also, welcome to the first ever, and not only, because there's going to be another one of these, the Super Rapid Fire Megasode.
Fuck. Yeah, that's we're trademarking that. That's our own thing. No one else can take that.
It's officially licensed.
Officially licensed.
You can't take it, just like the mugs.
Just like the mugs. Officially licensed mugs on our officially licensed. I'm dropping a notebook on our officially licensed website.
Why did you drop the notebook?
It was on my thigh and it was rolling down, and I was like,
Were you doing the drum bounce, the thigh bounce?
No, it was just sitting there. Gravity was just taking effect, Joe.
Joe. Quick question: do you watch Olympic gymnastics?
Nope.
Joe, I recommend you do. There is great thigh material over there, but I digress.
I thought you were going to recommend it to me for the plot of the actual event, and I was like, oh, yes, Joe. Wink, I understand. Wink, wink.
No, I'm a little bit more direct, but carry on.
Right, okay. So, yes, today we're doing our first ever rapid-fire megasode, which basically means we're a little backed up on comics, so we have a lot to talk about.
Huh?
Because a Filipino man from Chicago decided that he would show up, and you also decided that you were going to have a graduation party, and then stuff just kind of snowballs when those two things coincide, Joe, and now we're here, and I'm not anxious at all.
Remember, ladies and gentlemen, when anything ever goes wrong, blame the Filipinos. Moving on.
Oh my god.
I love the Philippines. Please don't cancel me.
Yeah, don't. It's jokes. It's jokes.
Joe nervously starts sweating on the other end.
Oh no, we're gonna get canceled by all the Filipino listeners, Joe. Yeah, no, we love you more. Okay, so starting now, we're gonna go pretty quickly through some of these things, just because we have a lot to get through, and we don't want to be here for like 2 hours. It's late. We got more to do. I got work in the morning. You know the drill.
All right, get breakfast in the morning.
Very true. I'm going to start us off, Joe, if you wouldn't mind.
I don't mind.
Wonderful. Okay, good. So I picked up 2 books that you didn't for the week of, I don't know, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago at the time of recording this. I don't fucking know. But so I picked up Geiger number 3 and Wonder Woman number 773. Real quick, Geiger number 3. Again, this is the Image comic by Jeff Johns and Gary Frank, a superstar team that kind of formed over at DC. And then they did their Doomsday Clock thing, which was a sequel to Watchmen that a lot of people didn't really like. But I was like, oh, this is actually pretty good. I kind of like it. Maybe a little bit more than Watchmen. That's just me. It's my personal opinion. Please don't skew me like a fucking kebab. Okay, so this is number 3. It picks up where number 2 left off. Wow, how about that? Where Geiger was outside and he saved the 2 kids whose mother was murdered in front of them because she stole something from the king of Camelot or whatever. And the kids are like, please take us in. And he's like, fuck off. And so it picks up with that. And the kids are still saying, hey, please take us in. And this causes him to flash back to his own family because he was a family man at one point, Joe. And he was going through some sort of cancer and some sort of treatment. And that treatment might be why he's now able to withstand the nuclear holocaust that is the world in 20 whatever year I said it was, like 2 months ago. But so it's basically just kind of like looking at his flashback and like some of his family stuff. You have him versus some of the Kingsmen, which also takes place in the past. It's a little weird to follow. But so he's fighting off some of the Kingsmen. Not the movie Kingsman. That's a different comic. That's a different. Kingsman is a different.
Thank you for clarifying. I was a little confused there.
Wonderful. But so the King's men he fought, he hit them back, and then he melted a dude's face. It was kind of cool. And then we come back to the present in the end, and Geiger is like, all right, I'm going to protect you kids because the people came after the kids after they murdered the mother, and he murders them. And he's like, all right, kids, follow me. And so that's what happens in Geiger number 3. And I'm like, the art in this book is still incredible. Story is still kind of getting its way going. And I'm like, I'm here for it. Moving on to Wonder Woman in 1773. Come on, Joe. Rapid fire megasodes. Oh, I feel so good right now. We pick up where Wonder Woman number 772 left off. Again, wow, what a thing there. And it's Wonder Woman finally going into the Fortress Valkyrie. And she's kind of like going in, and she's like, what's going on in here? And she finds the Valkyries. They're fine. They're just quitting. And Wonder Woman's like, what the fuck? What the fuck do you mean you're just quitting? And they're like, we're not getting appreciated enough. That's basically what it is. And Wonder Woman's like, what the fuck? But she doesn't have time to really question them about that because she inadvertently led Thor and all the other like Asgardians to the Fortress Valkyrie. And so Thor kind of bursts in and is all like, I'ma fight ye! And then he does. So they fight for a bit. Wonder Woman crushes Thor's fake hammer, as we come to find out, which was made by Psycho again. If you remember one of the earlier things, he was imbuing weapons with like his essence to he control people. Turns out he did that for Thor too. So he was controlling Thor. So Thor was being a bit more of a dick than he should have been, even though he's still kind of a dick. So then she ends up finding Psycho. She kind of like goes into like some mindscape. She headbutts the fuck out of him, and he's like, no! And then he like he doesn't disappear. Deadman reappears, and he's like, hello. I'm gonna take this guy. And one was like, yeah, cool. And he's like, no, but seriously, you gotta fucking go back to Olympus. It's a fucking shit show over there. Okay, bye. And then he pieces out with Dr. Psycho, and then she comes back. Siegfried is back, or Siggy as she calls him. She's like, oh my god, you're back. She kisses him, and he's like, my. And then they fuck, and that is not me being hyperbolic. They literally bang.
I thought that was hyperbolics, but that was actual bollocks. Wow.
That was actual bollocks. They bang. She bounces out before he wakes up, pulling one of those moves with Ratatask, because she's like, all right, I'm going to leave. But then before she ends up leaving the realm, Siggy comes out. I feel so weird calling him Siggy. It's so, I don't like it. He comes out, and he's just like, you're going to leave without saying goodbye? And she's like, I have to go. And he's like, I know. You sure I can't join you? And she's like, your place is here. And he's like, I understand. Go do what you got to do. And I'm like, my God, what a healthy, understanding man. So Wonder Woman pieces out from the Norse afterlife, and the last panel is she's reappears in whatchamacallit, Olympus with Ratatosk, the weird unicorn little chipmunk thing, and Olympus is in utter decay, and that's where the book ends. So we're back in Olympus, but it's a fucking shit show, kind of like Deadman said, and that's where we are. Again, it's very good. I enjoy it a whole lot. More of this Wonder Woman run, por favor.
Siggy is best boy.
Siggy is best boy. I gotta be honest. He's got the best hair. He's got the best bod. Siggy's the lad. All right, Joe. Now we talk about a little book that we both got from this week. Tell me a little bit about Spider-Share number 3.
I believe it's pronounced Spider-Moon Spider-Shadow number 3. Look, when I went the little meta stuff, I went to go pick this thing up, and I was ready to officially become a comic nerd. I got my bags, I got my boards, and so I had to stop at the different comic shop. You know, the one that I was going to when we were at school, but I've been going to the one at my house, and I'm back home. But I was in the hood, the neighborhood. Applebee's, baby, such a good place. And I was like, you know what? Let me give my Will Grove homie some love. And so I stop in there, and just as I was beginning to like form a relationship with this dude, I go up to the counter, and the dude's like, what's your name again? And I was like, no, I'm not here for 2 weeks, and he already forgets me. But it's okay. He ended up remembering who I was. But all right, let's get into the Spider-Man Spider Shadow.
Please.
Number 3. All right, this cover reminds me of the 80s cover from Spider-Man Life Story. Joe,
yes.
Keep that in mind, right?
Okay.
It's a cool cover. Basically, the story with this, Jonah makes a plan with the new Sinister Sinister Six. Eddie Brock is now Doc Ock. Interesting.
Doc Brock, if you will. Thank you.
Oh, Joe, that's a rough one, but I kind of like it. Reed is trying to find where Peter is. Peter ends up killing Beetle, and now Peter's losing his mind. Spider-Man kills the majority of the Sinister Six. I believe 5 out of 6 of them. I believe Kraven's still alive. Jonah is controlling an Ava. The
Yeah,
symbiote
Jonah's got a mech.
the symbiote dies in the fire because they obviously set the house slash barn on fire. That was the whole plan. How did they know that was going to work? I don't know. Jonah drives Peter home after the symbiote's gone. MJ and Black Cat are waiting there, but the cops are also waiting at the apartment because Kingpin released the identity of Spider-Man right, like, I don't know if it was a thing where it's like, oh, he died, and then it was like, oh, once this happens, release his info. I don't know.
Yeah, it was one of those situations. It was like a dead man switch, or like the moment someone knew that Fisk was killed, like someone else was like, "All right, do it."
Yeah, yeah. So that happens, and then the final last page is the symbiote didn't actually die, and it's like still alive, and it was on the back of Jonah's car. But the final page that we get is Venom's like using the Thing from Fantastic Four, and is creating other Venoms slash one of them's kind of red. So I'm like, I don't know too much Marvel history. I'm like, oh, is it supposed to be like Carnage or something? I don't know that stuff.
Yes,
Okay, thank you for the clarification.
he's creating his offspring, which we're gonna get like Shriek, Carnage, the other ones that I don't know the names of, but there's a lot of different Venom offspring. So I'm assuming that's who all of these things that he's creating right now are going to be.
Yes, and that's where it ends off. And the only thing I want to say is, Joe, have you ever listened to the band Disturbed?
No.
Well, their character, they're known as the Animal. The art of the last page, where I believe it's where is it? Where is it? Oh, yes, it's the second to last page, and all you see is like these grinning teeth and like the eyes of the symbiote. Looks almost exactly like the Thing from Disturbed. So after this, I got to show you a picture of that because it's super, super similar. And I love the band so much. One of my goalkeeper jerseys, I got an airbrushed version of the mascot on my jersey because I was that psycho 14-year-old that wanted to scare people. Moving on, next comic, Joseph.
Right. Yes. I'm dramatically flipping a page.
Flip it, boy.
Up.
Flip it
flipped
real
it.
good.
YouTube's gonna copyright this. All right. This is moving on to the next week. So this is week of the 16th when these comics came out. So let's get into some of these. I'm gonna first start off talking about Nightwing number 81. Again by Tom Taylor, art by I don't remember the artist, but he's really good. So we left off in number 80 with the Heartless Man appearing in front of Nightwing as he's like burning down the not abandoned kids, the kids like the homeless kids, their tent city or whatever. And he was just there. He's like, haha. Pick up there again, and Nightwing's trying to save the kids, and the Heartless Man actually clears a path. He's like, kids, get the fuck out of here. And he's like, Nightwing's like, what the fuck? And the Heartless Man is like, no, you, I want to fight you. And so he fights them, or Nightwing fights him. He deduces that he has enhanced like strength and agility and stuff like that, but no technique. So while he's stronger than Nightwing considerably, Nightwing is able to like move around him way better and use his own strength against him, sort of a thing. Because Nightwing is just that good, and I fucking love it. Meanwhile, Tim Drake is trying to lead all the kids to the dock, and Heartless is like, haha, you led all the kids to the dock, and Nightwing's like, uh-oh. And so he presses a button and blows up the dock. And Nightwing just sends out a distress call. He's like, anyone, please, kids on the dock, you gotta come save them. And then it's like one of those dramatic things where it's like no one's answering and the flames are getting closer and closer. And then finally, one ship answers like, this is the Devon whatever, USS something or other. I hear your call. I'm en route to dock. And then you get like 50 other calls coming in. And then you just get this image of like all these ships coming to the dock to rescue all the kids on the burning dock. So that was cool. And then Nightwing passes out because in a previous story arc, he had been shot and become Rick Grayson. I think I remember telling you a little bit about this. But so Then he got his memory back during like the Joker War or something like that, and became Dick Grayson again because that was a stupid thing. But in this book, because he got hit in the head, he talks about he's like, "Oh, I'm passing out because I still have severe head injuries," and so it's like he's got like a bit of a nerf on him right now, where it's like if he takes too many hits to the head, he's kind of like down for the count because any normal person would be. But also he's been shot in the head in like the last year, so he's got to take it easy. But he finds out quickly when he's back with with Tim and Barbara. He's just like, "Yo, what's going on?" And they're like, Zuko's daughter is mayor now." And again, I'm not talking about Avatar. I'm talking about the man who killed Nightwing's parents. And so he's like, "Oh, what the fuck is up with that?" So in the middle of the night, he runs off to try and go investigate her. Again, he's pretty concussed still, so he doesn't do very good entering, and then he gets hit by like a bodyguard or something like that, and he falls down the stairs, and then Mayor Zuko's there, and she's just like, no, leave him, I got him. And he wakes up tied to a chair, mask off, and he's like, uh-oh. And Mayor Zuko's there, and she's just like, "Hey, so, you're Dick Grayson," and he breaks out of the chair bondings, and he's like, what are you gonna do? And she's like, "Nothing. Also, you're my brother." And he's like, "What?" She's like, "Yep, my real father was John Grayson." And that's where the issue ends off. And I'm just like, oh, okay.
How do you feel about that?
I don't honestly know if it's true. Also, I don't know. I don't feel too strongly about it either way. I don't dislike it a whole lot. I don't love it a whole lot. I'm very much like it's going to greatly depend on how this goes, but I think it also is hindered by the fact that I don't really think she's telling the truth just yet. So that's what happens in that book. And again, it's like I said, this entire Tom Taylor's run of Nightwing so far has been great. I've been loving it. Every single issue, I'm like, this art is great, the storytelling is great, the characterization is great, the comedy, spot on. I love this book. So if you were ever being like, maybe I should want to like hop into some Nightwing at some point, hop in on this run. You're only like 4 issues in, so you can get it all real easily. It's a good run.
Awesome. I felt the same way when you said, when you did the big reveal. Sounds like a pretty cool thing, but it's one of those things where you're like, okay, don't get my hopes up. Let's see how it goes. This can either be really good or they can really shit the bed with this.
Right, exactly. But yeah, so I have one more solo book to talk about, but you also have a solo book to talk about. So let's hear from you first.
All right. So your boy picked up what it's called. It's called Static Season 1, Issue Number 1. And so Joe, I'm gonna need a little bit of clarification here. It's at the title at the top of the page. It says Milestone Returns, and in addition to the DC logo, we have this big M. I'm assuming that is a subdivision of DC.
Milestone Comics was its own comic company created in the 90s by primarily African American creators. Hence why you have characters like Icon, which was like an African American analog to Superman. There is another character who's similar to Iron Man. Static Shock you have in there as well. It was its own thing. There's been a whole lot of legal bullshit going on between DC and Milestone because DC purchased them, I believe, in like the early 2000s or late 90s, something like that. And then there's just been so much legal bullshit between all the characters and trying to get all that stuff straightened out. But they finally seemingly straightened everything out, and people are starting to get like paid what they're due. This is mostly pertaining to the Milestone creators because they were getting dicked over by DC. But so I think everything there has been pretty much straightened out. So they've finally gotten all these characters off the ground and are starting to do their own stuff. So the Milestone logo and company is basically a sub imprint of DC Comics at this point, similar to how Vertigo operated and how Black Label operates now.
Okay, thank you. That's what I thought. Just wanted some clarification.
Yes.
I never really watched Static Shock that much when I was younger. I watched
Blasphemy.
I watched the episodes here and there. I never like followed it. But if Static Shock was on, I was like, oh yeah, play me that shit. So I saw this was coming out. I'm like, actually, I'm interested to see this. And I gotta say, the art is really cool. It's a very interesting style. It almost looks like it's animated. Um, which at first I was like, I don't know how I feel about this, but the more and more I've been looking at it, I'm like, no, I really like this.
Okay. Okay.
And we get a little, it's not a full on origin story for this. You don't get a very clear, like, oh, it's happening. It's all like recollection and
Right. He's thinking about it.
yeah, yeah. And so basically, I believe it's supposed to be very like 2021 where or 2020 where it's like, oh, he got the powers in like a protest. And so there's in some of the scenes people are wearing masks or at like a protest and stuff, and they hint that he got his powers from like people using like this type of gas at a protest, which I'm assuming is like some form of like tear gas, like cops using it or something, and that it gave people all these powers, and he got power, obviously being able to control like electricity and stuff. And so that's like the little background. They he talks about his kind of like his friendship with his friends, how he's handling the new powers, what his family dynamic has been since everything changed. His dad has become almost like a mentor for him, and now his dad is like trying to teach him how to fight and use his powers. It's very
Oh.
weird. Yeah, the dad is. I all I have written down is like Pops is really weird. Like they do this little thing where they on one page it says like before the Big Bang, and they talk about like, oh, they're at dinner, they're chit chatting and stuff, and then you flip the page and the tones completely shift and it's way darker. So I don't know if the dad is like seeing this as like, oh, he needs to accept these powers and use them, and he's trying to force it on the kid, but I'm not 100% sure. But we do get a fight in this. The villain's name is Hot Streak, and it's like one of like the douchebags at his school.
Yeah. Hot Streak is a classic Static Shock villain.
Yeah, and so he meets him out. He literally just like is out front of his house. He's like, "Get out here, asshole!" And they end up having like a big fight because Static Shock like embarrassed him in school or something, something dumb. And it's a pretty fucking cool fight. The way that the artist draws fire in this, like okay, Fantastic Four life story. I think Johnny Human Torch looks really fucking stupid with his fire. Like it just looks weird. This is literally like Zuko in Avatar. Looks like they're firebending. Like I don't know, it just looks a lot cleaner, and I like it a lot more. And they have this big fight, and what ends up happening is the what is it? Oh my goodness, Hot Streak burns down their house. Um, Static kind of embarrasses him again and beats the shit out of him. And he basically says like "fuck you," and he just decides to burn down the house. And it's very dramatic of like Static realizing like, oh shit, I beat him, and then realizing that the house is gone. He's like, oh shit, and that's it. It's pretty cool. There's a nice little kind of like ode to John Paul Leon in the back because he died in 2021,
Mm-hmm.
and no, it's pretty cool. I think I'm gonna stick with it. I think I'm gonna check out the next issue. It has me interested. They do tease you. The cover has like Static Shock and like his new outfit and everything, but you don't get to see him in it because he's not really like upset accepting of his powers right now.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
but I'm excited. I'm happy I tried it out.
Cool. Yeah. It sounds intriguing. I was on the fence with it because I was very much like, I don't know about it, like the new Static Shock thing. I was kind of just like, I wanted to see how it went, but from the sounds of it, it sounds pretty interesting. So I don't know if I'll pick it up in issues, but if it like when it all comes out, season one, it's weird calling a run of comics
Yeah, it's
a
really
season.
weird.
I can see what they're doing though because I'm pretty sure they're doing something similar. Like they have another series like with the Icon and stuff like that
Hmm.
coming out, and they're calling that season one as well. But if when it comes out in trade, if I've heard nothing but good stuff about it, I'll definitely be like, I am picking that up. Okay, Rapid Fire Megasode. Moving on, I also got Spider-Man Miles Morales number 27, continuation of Miles' clone saga. So with this, we pick up with Miles being entrapped by all the different clones because you remember in the last issue he smashed up their lab because he thought they were going to make more clones when in actuality they were trying to make a cure for themselves because they die after a couple of days, and he's just like, oh, I didn't know that, and they string him up. And they're very much just like, all right, fuck you. Really, Salim is the one that's like, okay, fuck you. Salim is just an asshole. You have what should we call it? Shift. He's like the more globby one that kind of reminds me of Venom. Who he's the simpleton. He's kind of like he's really innocent and he's just kind of going along with whatever you have with what Salim is doing. Like Salim's the leader, and so he's just kind of trying to please Salim and do that sort of stuff. Salim and Mindspinner leave. They're like, all right, fuck you, Miles. You know what we're gonna do? We're gonna go to the hospital where your mom works, and then we're gonna bring her back here. And we're gonna kill her in front of you. And he's like, what? Why would you do that? And
That's
like,
a big
fuck
jump.
you. It is a big jump. I was very much like, okay, that you're an asshole. So they run off, and then he's talking with Shift. He's like, okay, hey, Shift, buddy, we're the same, and you know if they kill that mother, it's basically like your mother too, right? And Shift, who can't really speak, he's just like, "Rah." And Miles breaks out of the web, and because it's like makeshift or whatever, like the clones didn't have time to create their own real good stuff. So he breaks out, and then he puts his hands up. He's like, we cool? And Shift is just like, "Rah." And he's like, all right, and he goes off to the hospital and he finds Mindspinner fucking around with his mom, and he ends up managing to beat Mindspinner, and then he's just like, hang on, where's Salim? And she's like, oh my god, where would someone who looks exactly like you go to fuck with your life? And he's like, oh no. And so he bolts off to go home where his new baby daughter Billy is and his dad. And you cut to the home, and a Miles Morales Spider-Man comes in and is just like, Dad, oh my god, are you okay? And he's like, yeah. And he's like, cool, there's an asshole coming that's gonna fuck shit up. And he's like, okay, I'm gonna go get the guns or whatever. And he runs off and gives Billy to this spider guy who we think is Miles. I didn't think it was Miles. And the last page reveal is him just going like, yes, I have everything I need now, because it's Salim holding his new baby daughter, not daughter, sister. Did I say daughter in the beginning? I think I did. Miles doesn't have a daughter. It's his sibling. It's his younger sister. She's like newborn or whatever. But so that's where this issue ends off. So Salim is just being an asshole. Shift is an okay guy, and Mindspinner is weird and already down for the count. So that's where we left off with this.
They're definitely going to pull the thing where the dad's going to be like aiming at both of them, and they'd be like, no, shoot him, no, shoot me. And then he's going to like ask a question where only the real one would know.
If they do something like that, I will, like, I'm already not the biggest fan of this Clone Saga thing. I'm like, you're not really doing anything interesting with it right now. It's just kind of like happening. If they end up doing that, I'm going to be like, okay, this is not good. But yeah, so that's that. So now, let's move on to the two things that we did end up reading. Let's first talk about Demon Days first, because it's been a while since we've ended up talking about this.
Yes, as I look at my beautiful Peach Momoko Demon Days X-Men that I have hung up right next to me, I was so excited for this thing coming out. Joe, just look at this cover, man. Look at this thing. Oh.
Which cover did you get? Because I have the one where it's like Black Widow's character and like, whatchamacallit, the Mariko with like the half jaw thing as like part of her armor or whatever.
I got the standard cover. You got a variant, it sounds like.
Yeah, I don't know what the standard cover was. There are so many goddamn covers for this book. I don't know what's standard and what's variant.
But either way, it's gorgeous. It's really awesome.
Yeah.
The pinks, the whites, the blacks. Oh my goodness. I was so excited to read this. And I got to say, so the cover's awesome. And we get into it, and is it me, Joe, or did the art get a lot better?
The art has so much more space to breathe. It's like occupying so much more of the book, where it's like stuff isn't like confined more sort of panels. It's very much like the art is dictating the panel layout as opposed to like a panel layout dictating art in a sense. So I agree. I don't know if the art necessarily got better. I feel like it just got more confident in... I feel like Peach Momoko got more confident in being able to tell her story through art rather than words. Because this, like, I don't even know if you have to read the words in this book. I can probably get by with just like, the feeling of the mythology from the artwork.
I completely get that. And, I mean, this is my bread and butter. I will live for this type of art. I know it's not everybody's, but my girl Peach, I love you. And these first couple pages, all I know I had mentioned last time when we talked about this, I mentioned Junji Ito, where some of the faces that are drawn definitely remind me of like Junji Ito horror. But there's also on like the second page, there's this picture of like these two sisters or twins or even just kids holding hands, and I could not stop thinking about The Shining.
Yeah, no, I think that was definitely supposed to elicit that weird, creepy feeling that you get when you're looking at the two twins and they're like, I don't like it. I don't
Yeah.
like it.
Yeah, so we get these weird kind of like backstory flashbacks where you don't know if it's a dream, if it's actually just, going back in time and showing us what happened, but they go to modern times and this character, Mariko, who we got introduced to at the very end of Demon Days X-Men, she almost kills a kid in her classroom, which was, a little dramatic, no big deal. And then after that, she comes home and we get a little bit of backstory with her. Basically, there's this woman who is Miss Kuroki, who is kind of like, I don't know, like her maid at her house, and she lives with her grandmother, and they're eating dinner and stuff, and eventually Mariko's like, hey, Grandma, I got some fucking questions. And she's like, oh, I knew you would come with these questions. And she does this whole backstory where she's like, you're not dreaming. These are actually memories. When I found your mother, she was actually an Oni, and you were holding this knife and you were covered in blood. And Mariko's like, what the fuck? And then the grandma does some really freaky shit. And in the most coolest and also, this is the type of disturbing stuff that I enjoy and that I can handle. When she spits up the key, that was so fucking cool, but also like, wow, that's a little weird.
Yeah, definitely strange. And then you cut to Miss Kuroko or whatever, and then it's like the eagle has landed in the hen's nest, and then you find out like again, we knew from the end of last issue this is Black Widow. What I didn't realize was that she actually came to care for Mariko a whole lot and was like flipping sides. She was kind of playing both sides, but was really on Mariko's side, trying to protect her and stuff like that. And she kind of protects her from the forces of this new character that we come to meet called it's Ogni, correct?
Yes, I believe that's correct.
Yeah, Ogni, who looks really cool. I don't know who this character is supposed to be or if they're an original thing, but I like their design. They kind of remind me of something that's going on in X-Men right now, but it's a completely different character, so I know they're not connected, but they look very similar, like a white and almost like serpent-like kind of. And I'm just real curious what her beef with Mariko is. I'm just like, I don't know, but I'm curious.
Yes,
Very curious.
So I really like Black Widow in this book. She does do that thing where you can't really tell what side she's on. At first, you're like, oh no, she's a bad person. She knocks out the grandma and she's gonna like kill Mariko or like steal the stuff that the grandma was hiding. But she ends up pretty much telling Mariko like, hey, I was originally supposed to do this, but I'm gonna protect you and explain stuff to you as well. And you're like, oh, cool. And then this dude named Kuya shows up, and he's like, I don't know how to describe him. He kind of looks like a Naruto character. He would remind me of somebody from Naruto. And she being Black Widow, ends up getting in a fight with him, and they disappear. And Kuya takes Black Widow back, and eventually Mariko opens up the door, and she finds this monster jaw, like this like metal jaw.
Yeah, that's the thing that I was talking about on my cover.
And the knife she was found holding. And she gets this really, really dark face telling her grandma, being like, I'm going to go fuck shit up. I need to get revenge. And I'm like, oh, wow.
I have my purpose.
Yeah. And then we get introduced to Oni or Ogni. I'm not sure if the G is like silent, something like that.
It sounds better when it's silent, but that might just be incorrect. I don't know. This is a lot of detail for Rapid Fire Megasode.
Yes. So we get introduced to her. She looks really cool. And at the very last page, we find that she has like other people working with her. She almost has like a quote unquote team. I also really like her design, and I am going to guess that is Mariko's sister, and that the two twins at the very beginning are Mariko and Oni.
Ooh, that is a good call, and I'm gonna hop on that bandwagon. Yeah, I like that. I like that prediction. That's actually really cool.
What did you think of this book, real quickly?
real quickly, I've enjoyed it more so than the Demon Days X-Men. I'm sad that we have to wait another like 2 months for the next book or something like that, right? It's like not coming out until, is it July or
I
August? I
believe
can't
it's.
remember.
I believe they have it advertised as July, but I will double
Oh, so then
check.
maybe it's only a month.
Nope,
But yeah,
September. Psych.
September. So we have to wait 3 months for the next issue. So it's taken a while, but that's okay because I'm enjoying this stuff. Okay, on to the final thing that we both read, Radiant Black #5. So Joe, how'd you? It's the one after the big shakeup where Nathan, quote unquote, died. And then whatchamacallit, Marshall ended up getting the Radiant Black thing. So to run through some of the stuff that happened in this one real quick.
Cover is pretty cool. I believe these little
Cover is cool.
scenes in the cover are about Marshall's life. We then find out that Nathan is still alive. He has a faint pulse. And eventually Marshall then goes down an alley and he changes into Radiant Black, which I'm a little. One thing I wanted to note is there's this black character that says to him like, "Hey man, you okay?" And something about the getup, I think also because I had read Static Shock the same day, I was like, "Is that Static Shock? Is that crossover?" I don't think so. I think it was just me doing that, but. So that happens, and he's trying to figure out how to use his powers. He's just frustrated, trying to get it out. He's at the hospital with Marshall's family, and then he ends up connecting with this amazing full page of him talking to the Radiant, I guess, within him, which it looked awesome. It looked like it could be a movie poster, and he ends up finding the Red Radiant and fighting them, and it's this really, really great fight. The art, I think the art looks the best in this book. It got really, really sharp with the colors and everything.
Yeah.
And there was this little detail where when Marshall punches, the radiant symbol is in his hand when he punches with energy. Really cool detail I liked. And the fight just with Red is awesome. Red ends up like converting matter into like her armor, kind of like, you know, the whole Iron Man thing, which I believe he mentioned before, and she basically turns into the Hulk Buster. I just spoiled it. We're gonna get to it anyway. Fight continues. We find out Red Radiant is a girl. Nobody was expecting that.
Nobody was expecting a girl.
And then you get even another big surprise where two new Radiants show up and they're different colors, yellow and pink, and they're like, "Yo, you're in legit danger." And, you know, Marshall and the Red Radiant kind of stop and they're like, "What do you mean?" They're like, "Oh, you don't even know. We need to try and get away. We need to do all this stuff. He's going to be coming." And Marshall's like, "Shut the fuck up. I'm busy right now." And then the two new Radiants get attacked, and including Marshall and the red one. And he's like, "What the fuck?" And then we get introduced to the big baddie, which I guess, does he get introduced with a name in this issue?
I don't think so. I just called him a
either.
digital assassin man. 'Cause that's what it looks like. He looks like a digital assassin, dude.
Oh my god. But the big baddie has arrived, and we got a lot of stuff in this issue.
Yes, definitely. So yeah, Nate's alive, which I was like, "Yep, knew he wasn't gonna fucking die in that last thing." Marshall was pissed, beat the shit out of Red Radiant. Again, the art in that segment, oh my good god, it's incredible. It was very, very good. Also, to make also another side note on whatchamacallit, the African American dude who was like looking into the whatchamacallit, the alley, being like, "Hey man, you okay?" And then he Danny Phantoms out and pieces out. I felt similar. I was like, I don't know why. I feel like there's like you're a very distinct looking character, like background character to be drawn. I feel like this guy's going to come back at some point. That's going to be my prediction. I'm predicting, "Hey man, you okay?" guy is going to be coming back at some point. Yeah, the fight was awesome. Get the reveal that it's a girl. Marshall gives pause because wait, horny. And then all of a sudden, the two other Radiants come in, and you're just like, "Oh my good god, this is insane." And then Digital Man comes in, and he's like, "I have come back for what is rightfully mine, or my creators," or whatever the fuck he was saying. And I was just like, I am invested in this story. So I'm on board, Joe.
I'm fully on the Radiant Black train. Give me more, man. And it looks like next issue we get Red's backstory, which I'm really excited for.
Ooh, fascinating. Yeah, I figured there would be more colors because of how closely tied this seems to be to Power Rangers. So I'm good. I'm. You just keep giving me more. I really like it. It's really good.
Man, Joe, that pretty much wraps up our rapid fire super megasode.
Yes, this is Rapid Fire Super Megasode Part 1, though, because next week, because we're still quite behind, we've got quite a few comics that we're going to be talking about yet again. Um, so yeah, let's talk about what we're going to be picking up for next week, which includes uh, this week and the next week, because our time, it's weird time. So just real quick, what I'm going to be looking at, Wonder Woman number 774. That's right. We're already talking about the next one, baby. Teen Titans Academy number 4, Fantastic Four Life Story number 2, and I'm going to be looking at Wonder Woman Black and Gold number 1. You thought that the anthology shit was over with Batman Black and White number 6. Turns out there's going to be more, baby, for Wonder Woman. And I saw that, and I was like, ooh, I'm interested in that. Also, for them the next week, the Teen Titans Annual number 1, which they're calling it like the 2021 yearbook, whatever the fuck it is. But I don't care about that weird ass title. It's the annual. It's the Teen Titan Academy Annual. Joe, what are you getting?
Fantastic Four Life Story number 2, Teen Titans Academy number 4, Wonder Woman Black and Gold number 1. Blade Runner's back, baby. They took a little bit of a break. 2029 number 5. Not Origins yet, even though I like Origins more. And, of course, I'm getting that sweet, sweet Teen Titans Academy Annual, because any information about Red X I will take, even though I don't read the Suicide Squad comic, which probably has a lot of information about him, even though it's not really anything. But, hey, I will throw my money at anything. Red X, I love you, baby.
And they know it. All right. So that pretty much wraps up Rapid Fire Megasode numero uno. I kind of like this format. It was just a lot of different stuff that we got to go through. That was kind of fun. Maybe we'll shake it up next week and do things a little bit differently. Maybe not. Don't know. Don't really care. I'll think about that later on. My brain is too tired right now, and that might be weird because I'm talking really fast, but there's nothing going on upstairs right now. It is all autopilot. So, with that being said, please make sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that wonderful YouTube shizness. Read some dang comics. Again, Nightwing, it's really good. Radiant Black, only 5 issues in, also really good. The Demon Days stuff, you're gonna have to wait a while, but it's really good. But yeah, anything really, just find something you're interested in. It's really cool. Comics are awesome. And with that, we shall say we love you, we leave you, everyone, and goodbye.